Deadlock's balance changes are, by and large, making the game worse. That is, less fun. I believe this is because of a systematic issue with Valve's design philosophy that they are either ignoring or failing to understand. Here's the thing. Hero kits are becoming more self-sufficient and internally optimized, which leaves less room for items to meaningfully alter how a hero functions. Outside of certain broken items that I won't bring up right this moment, most items in this game feel rather samey, and it's for the worse, especially when talking about gun items. I truly cannot understand how someone enjoys playing a gun hero in Deadlock's current climate. I mean, they were always boring in my opinion, but the homogeneity of gun builds these days exasperate the issue threefold. Other than the gun item situation, the other and more egregious issue with the items is that I find that your core build items have less of an identity and thus feel weaker, whereas defensive or counter items feel stronger. That is, the most meaningful itemization left in the game is your defensive buys. Because Valve's current philosophy on game balance is buffing bad heroes is always better than nerfing good ones, the actual items in the shop themselves are proportionally weaker, because the rate and scale that they get changed always seems to be less than when heroes do. What I mean to say is that heroes get buffed too strong too often, and items don't. So the relative strength of each item functionally diminishes with each patch, which therefore increases the relative strength of heroes' meta builds with each change, because most of them tend to min-max a level of baseline damage on one ability, combo, or gun, without leaving much room for anything that is actually fun. Gone are the days when Majestic Leap was a viable item that was also fun to use, but is now just a troll item on nearly every hero because everyone has some sort of slow now, or movement, or fuck it, let's give Mina a third cast of bats, snort some crack and go home. I loved Leap, I really did, but I can no longer justify buying it. Hero kits are too self-sufficient at this point to justify it on anyone whose name isn't Aaron Fairfax. This is also exactly why we see items like Superior Stamina be bought on basically every hero. 90% of heroes don't need any help outside of their spikes at this point, so the way they solve their movement in a match is simply to buy the most broken movement item in the game. Honestly, they could remove either the extra air dash length or the triple jump and double air dash and it would still be bought in half of all matches. It's not like there aren't other movement options in the game, it's just that there's no reason to interact with them. To be clear though, I don't think Valve is maliciously trying to make itemization weaker, that's insane. I just think it's an unfortunate side effect of their hero balancing philosophy, which, as I talked about last time, I absolutely despise. In fact, it's the off-meta movement items that I feel were hit the most. You know I'm talking about the objectively funniest item of all time, Magic Carpet. This item has maybe 2 heroes it has ever been viable on, and now that number is maybe 0. Don't let that statement make you believe this issue is contained entirely within the funny items, because the issue extends throughout the entire shop. The fact that power in a player's game is allocated so strongly to their base kit means the items they buy simply objectively have less of an impact in your gameplay. The increased base kit power actually seems to do the opposite of what I assume Valve wanted. It enforces a particular style of play with said hero to whatever is the meta, because you're just actually actively playing worse than you could be otherwise. Your items literally have less value, so you rely on your abilities more. Abilities that make up the combination of how the hero plays, which factors in item power spikes less and less. That is the actual effect of the items, not the gun, health, and spirit power spikes, of course. Because of this, making funny builds like Bomb Furnace and Dutch Oven Kelvin are just straight up weaker and less playable. Leap plus Ult Infernus was an absolutely playable and objectively funny way to play the game, which is a build that went from kind of viable to extremely troll with each passing patch. At the end of the day, I don't really care that I can't play Bomb Furnace anymore. It was never my biggest gripe, it's just an example of the bigger issue. It's not that I can't buy Magic Carpet anymore. The problem is, simply put, that items and counter buying are about a third of what makes up the skill expression of a MOBA. But because heroes are so homogenized, because heroes have such a powerful baseline, the items in the game affect the outlook on a game so much less. Of course, the other 2/3 are map awareness / macro and how you use your abilities respectively. Ironically, the only items that haven't drastically weakened are the counter items, which only exacerbates the issue. Because now the off-meta items affect your gameplay less and your counter buys more. The counter buys, which are an in-match decision, become stronger, and your funny Kelvin kidnap build becomes worse. I mourn Dutch Oven Kelvin. I was never even able to fully take advantage of it. On paper, Scourge Thunderdome melee items is so funny, and with Indomitable Cleansing Parry Stuns and new Trophy Collector, it's a build that I wish could make work right now. No, it doesn't count if you make it work in Pisslow, because you can do anything down there. I mean, Gun Paige and Gun Rem are what some people think are uber meta. To be clear, I hate talking about Deadlock's balancing. I really do. Not because it's abysmal, which it is, but because I don't like doing it. I want to talk about things that help you get better at the game, or at least better understand the mindset you should have, because the MOBA genre is one where you have to unlearn the very basics of gaming. You have to spend a lot of time in this game not looking at what you're shooting or doing. However, Deadlock's balancing philosophy has genuinely been so bad in the past 6 months that I truly believe that ignoring it and making my regular content in some way makes me complicit in the issue. Even if no one watches the video, even if no one agrees with me, I cannot find it in my own principles to fully ignore it. Another way to interpret what I mean is that this video, in theory, will be my last take on Deadlock's meta or balance for a while. It's just not the kind of content I want to make. I feel the need to bring this up because my last video talked about hero balance, and I think a lot of people conflate hero balance with being the same thing as game balance, which I can forgive but isn't necessarily accurate. Yes, hero balance has an effect on the overall balance of the game, of course, but even if the heroes were balanced properly, that doesn't mean the game is, because there's still things you have to take in, like objectives and item balance. And it's that very imbalance that I have the issue with. It is that imbalance that is causing the death of off-meta builds. The only fix for this issue, as I've stated in my last video, is to walk back several major patches to a point in the game where it was infinitely better balanced, and hero kits had so much less power in every single ability. If everyone is OP, then no one is a common saying that gets associated with this dogshit type of balancing philosophy, but it also works both ways. If nothing is OP, then nothing is OP. If you work under that balancing philosophy and you nerf things that are annoying, unlike the opposite, we won't get things like Mina in Apollo Lane. Now, before I end the video, I want everyone to please take a look at this screenshot of Yoshi last name IceFrog on the Discord server. Got it? What I'm doing is called feedback. Hey, also, if you made it this far in the video, use the hype feature. It's kind of new. It's new to me, at least. And I don't know what it does, but it probably does something, and I would like that something to happen to me. With that being said, my name is FighterJet, and your regularly programmed bullshit will go back to normal with my next video. Thank you for watching.